Howdy, folks. I'm Spirited Strawberry, sporadically sprinting through spiky shrubs.
I'm Amber.
And here are more spiky shrubs for us to sprint through because we're escaping the evil humans who are trying to eat us. It isn't good. It really isn't good. But with our little spirited strawberry legs, we will survive. And folks, we have a live stream coming up on Friday. For more information, please see the end of the video. Let's get started. Amber's like, why is it always horror with you, Brian?
I mean, do I have room to complain?
Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Hiding My Pregnancy from My Husband and My Mother-in-Law? I am a 25-year-old female, and I've been married to my husband, a 28-year-old male, for 3 years. My husband, I'll call him Joel, and I met in college and got married very young. We have both always dreamed of having a big family, and I have always wanted to be a stay-at-home mother. Joel and his mom have always been close, but it wasn't until recently that I noticed how unsettling the relationship truly is. For some starters, Joel's mom, I'll call her Amy, has always been insanely protective over him. Although he is fully an adult man, Amy still only refers to Joel as her baby boy. Amy insists on having the first dance with Joel at our wedding, and because she was paying for the most of it, I let her have it, but I put my foot down when she suggested that she should wear a cream-colored dress as the mother of the groom. Amy lives in our neighborhood and has made a habit of showing up unannounced and inviting herself into all aspects of our lives. A few months ago, I found out that I was pregnant with our first baby, and just a few months in, I tragically lost the pregnancy. Before the miscarriage, Joel and I had been over the moon. Amy was so excited to be a grandmother, but some of her actions made me uncomfortable and angry. For starters, she insisted that she come to all the appointments with the baby. When we first heard our baby's heartbeat, she jumped out of her chair and snatched Joel's hand and began to cry with excitement. Joel threw his arms around her, pointing out her grandbaby's heartbeat, while I was left sitting there on my own. Although it was still early in the pregnancy, Amy was proposing throwing her own grandbaby shower in order to get supplies for the baby to be kept at her house. I tried to shut this down, but Joel once again defended his mom. When I felt the first kicks and movements, she ran over and nearly shoved my hand out of the way to try and feel. My final straw was after I lost the baby. I was devastated. Luckily, Amy was not over when I began to notice issues, and Joel and I were able to go to the hospital alone, but after calling his mom to tell her what was happening, Amy showed up at the hospital and cried so loudly that Joel had to escort her out of the hospital and comfort her in the car. Once again, I was left alone. This broke me. Although Joel has apologized profusely and said that he regrets leaving me, I've had a hard time finding forgiveness for that moment. I've had to emphasize, other than his usual relationship with his mother, our relationship has been nearly perfect. After the miscarriage, though, I started sleeping in the guest room and taking more time for myself to sort out my thoughts and decide where to go from here. Everything was fine until a few months ago. I had a few too many glasses of wine at a friend's wedding and ended up spending the night back in our main bedroom. I started to notice the same familiar changes in my body from my first pregnancy, which terrified me. I finally took a test and I stared at the little plus in disbelief. Although I want to be a mother more than anything, I couldn't help but still feel the same feelings from my last pregnancy. Maybe it was the wrong choice, but I chose not to tell Joel right then. I booked an appointment and I went to the doctor and I found out that I was about 6 weeks pregnant already. This is where I might be the jerk. That was about 3 months ago, and I still have not told Joel. I'm now 18 weeks pregnant, and just starting to show more, and I have taken to just wearing big shirts and baggy clothes around the house. I have loved being pregnant, and I have not had to share the spotlight with Amy. This week, I felt the first little flutters of the baby moving, and didn't have to share it with anybody else. In just a few weeks, I can learn his or her gender and not risk having to throw a grandbaby gender reveal for my mother-in-law. Maybe most importantly, God forbid, anything were to happen to the pregnancy again, I would rather handle it alone than have to deal with consoling her. But now, I don't know where to go from here. Obviously, I can only keep this up for so long, but how do I explain to Joel that I've been hiding the pregnancy from him for months? Should I just run away and start a new life? Mostly kidding. Mostly. Or am I already in too deep, so I might as well just keep hiding it for as long as possible and not have to share any of my moments with anyone else? I love my husband and I don't want to leave him, but I don't know how I can save the situation or our marriage. Am I the jerk here? All right, folks, what do you think of the doozy of this one?
No, OP, I don't think you're the jerk, but I do think you have some tough choices to make here. And it might be good to talk them over with a therapist to try and figure out. Because unfortunately, Joel is not going to change unless he wants to change. And he's been letting his mom steamroll you at every avenue. Your wedding, his mom got the first dance. Everything about the baby, you couldn't have any privacy, a moment alone to yourselves. Is always his mom front and center.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's going to change once the baby gets here. She's going to probably act like this baby is her baby, an extension of her somehow. It's going to be all about her and him. You're just the incubator.
Yeah, I mean, OP is really the third wheel in this relationship at this point in time, or was the third wheel in the relationship when she was pregnant the first time around. She was being treated as very secondary and, like you said, as the incubator. Like, it was all about mother-in-law and about her husband, right? It was like she was giving birth to their child.
So I think, it might be helpful to kind of write out a list of your possible options.
Yeah.
What would need to happen for you to stay in this relationship?
Mm-hmm.
What would need to happen for you to leave? What would leaving look like? Where would you go? Who could you stay with? Who could you count on? And I know that's probably a really daunting thought because one, you love your husband, and two, you're pregnant. It's going to be complicated and messy no matter what. But your husband does not love you, at least not as much as he loves his mom. And your partner should be putting you first. End of story. Like, this is your body that's going through all these changes. You're the one who's carrying this baby, not his mom. And for him to act like it's equally important that she gets her own shower, that she can touch your belly whenever she wants, to comfort her when she's grieving while you're actively like in the hospital, it's horrible. He's not a good partner.
No, he really isn't. I mean, I know that they've had a perfect relationship up to this point, but I don't know if there's anything that is going to end up repairing the relationship as it is. Like, if OP is already hiding something this big from her husband, that tells you a lot about the state of the relationship.
Right. I mean, the trust is completely broken.
Yeah. I think in OP's mind, this relationship is already over. Even joking about, like, leaving and starting a new life, I don't know if OP is really joking all that much, right?
Right. And I know it's hard. Like, OP has had been in this relationship for so long, and this is the life she's known, but it doesn't seem like this is a tenable situation. Like, you cannot hide this forever. So, I mean, personally, I think leaving is probably the best course of action. Joel has shown time and time again that he cannot step up. He cannot create that distance.
Yeah. And I think that it's important that maybe OP, talk to Joel before she gets too far along in the pregnancy. Say, I need a break from our relationship for now. That way he doesn't know if OP is pregnant or not, and then she can go and live with her parents or something to that effect, and that way she can sort out her feelings without worrying about being exposed for being pregnant or whatnot, right? So I think that hopefully, given if OP has enough time, she can and distance from this relationship, she can find out what's right for her. And that would also give her time to go to a therapist, see what they have to say and bounce ideas off of them and help her, develop the tools that she needs to be successful, right? But OP has already realized that she doesn't need her husband, right? Mm-hmm. She did it all on her own last time, and she doesn't need him.
Well, and worse than that he he active hindrance because he brings his mom every step of the way.
Yeah.
And she can't have a moment of peace and quiet. Like, this is not his mom's time to shine, and she's just so self-centered and doesn't seem to care one bit about OP at all.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Pineapple Gone says, you need to get counseling ASAP. Arrange for both individual and couples counseling. You can tell your husband about the pregnancy and why you hid it with a mediator present. Your husband is a mama's boy. You might want to get a copy of When He's Married to Mom by Ken Adams and have it handy with him. Be aware that resetting that type of relationship is very difficult and can only happen with a lot of work on his part. You've been sleeping in a different room and he hasn't taken any initiative to fix things. That's not a good sign. I disagree with doing couples therapy in this particular situation.
Yes, same. I don't think it's going to be helpful or productive. I think he needs to want to change on his own. And yeah, I'm in full agreement with you.
I think the time for couples therapy was before she got pregnant a second time.
Hmm.
And that way they could have worked things out. I think at this point in time, if OP were to tell her husband that she were pregnant, then things would go right back to the way they were before.
Yeah, because he's going straight to his mom, first
Yeah.
thing he knows.
And the mom is going to be all over OP. She's not going to have any peace. She's not going to have any quiet. She's going to be stressed out, and that isn't going to be good for the baby. And in that interest, I think that it would not be in the best interest for OP or for the child for her to tell her husband that she was pregnant. I just don't. I mean, maybe I'm in the wrong here, and I would love to know if anyone disagrees with me, of course. Clearly one person does. Pineapple Gone does. But I just don't think that this is going to work out in the way that Pineapple Gone thinks it is.
No, it's not. And it's going to only make things so much harder for OP.
Yeah. It'll make it harder to leave. It'll make it harder to, think about things. It's just going to add so many additional layers to this stuff, because if OP does leave, then the mother-in-law tracks her down or hunts her down because of the baby. And also it'll eliminate the option for her to even leave if she wants to, because mother-in-law might become, irrational or even dangerous if she really feels this strongly about the child, right? I mean, look how she reacted when OP's pregnancy miscarried the first time. I can't in good faith say that OP should go to therapy and tell her husband about this. I just can't. I think that it would be more harm than good.
Yeah, I mean, I think individual therapy to talk through her options would be a great idea, but I do not think her husband should be involved.
Yeah. That guy who eats bagels says, not the jerk. So your husband went off to comfort his mother outside while you were crying over your miscarriage. Seems like he will always have his priority as his mom. After that, it seems like a smart move not to tell them. And Trixley says, if OP was already feeling the baby, it sounded like it was a late stage miscarriage or a premature stillbirth situation. That's messed up that he left her all alone. He'd find out about the pregnancy after I brought the baby home to my new home, because I would be divorced. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Giving Away My Girlfriend's Baby Name? I'm a 25-year-old male, and my girlfriend is a 23-year-old female, and we have been dating for 5 years. We both expect to get married in the future and have kids in a somewhat distant future. I have always wanted to have kids, having always loved interacting with them and feeling a strong parental nature. My girlfriend less so, but she still genuinely expects to have a child together in the future, a non-negotiable expectation that I have expressed from the get-go. When discussing our future children, and specifically the aspect of their names, she has always deferred to me for choosing them and not expressing strong opinions about them. As such, for a few years now, I have had a static list of names chosen that I would love for our children, and she has always agreed. However, 9 months ago, my girlfriend grew a strong conviction for a name for our daughter. She became enamored with this name when she recently learned that it was her great-grandmother's name. Frankly, for several small reasons, I do not like this name. I told this to her when she first mentioned it, and she was very offended, although I was just being transparent with her. When she told me that it was an honor to her great-grandmother, I felt bad about it and said that it was a fine name. That said, I was a bit upset that on a whim she was overruling the list of names that we had long since agreed upon for a great-grandmother that she never met nor had any idea existed until this point in her life. Well, 2 months later, my girlfriend's sister, a 25-year-old female, became pregnant with her husband. 2 weeks ago, they had a gender reveal party. At the party, they had all sorts of fun gender-related activities, namely one for people to write down names for a boy and a girl and put it in a box for them to read later in private. For the girl, I put down the name that my girlfriend wanted for her daughter. During the party, it was revealed that they are going to be having a girl. Now, less than a week ago, they shared the 2 names that they narrowed down their choices to with the family. Lo and behold, one of the names that they chose was one that I wrote down for them. My girlfriend was made very upset by this. She immediately pegged that it was me who wrote down the name for them at the party and blamed me for giving away her baby name. While she was right, and I apologized for it, I argued that it was unfair to have her suddenly disregard the names that I had my heart set on. However, she did not care and continued to ream me out for giving away her name. The past few days have been fairly tense. She is still very angry that I gave away her baby name, and I have been uninterested in resolving tensions after she completely ignored my concerns in the situation. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
Yes, OP, I think you're a major jerk here. Well, yes, baby names are two yes, one no type of deal. It seems like OP wants to control the entire thing. His girlfriend didn't even seem to really care about kids, and so he was like, you know what, I'm just going to plan this whole thing and you're just going to do what I say. And as soon as she has an opinion, since it doesn't work with him, instead of having a mature discussion and talking about, oh, well, maybe like the great grandma's middle name would have been a good name. Like, is there any kind of like compromise? He's just like, I'm going to make sure that she can't use this name by giving it to her sister.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that she was probably not really interested in the names at first because it wasn't even like something that she found interesting or was wanting to even talk about because like it was so far off in the future, right? It sounds like they're wanting to have kids much later in the future. So it's a very abstract thing, but she started thinking about this and actually being excited for having kids. And what does he do? He knocks her down and is like immediately like, "No, your name is stupid."
Right. Like, I don't even know if OP really likes his girlfriend. It seems like it's more like she's an important piece in the puzzle because he's going to have someone to give him the baby. And so, I'd ask him to reflect on his feelings. Why is he so insistent that he has to be right and everything has to go according to his wishes? Um, and why didn't he welcome her sudden interest in baby names? Like, you would think that he would be excited that she was now on the same page and excited to have kids.
Mm-hmm. But now he's kind of maybe even alienated her in the respect that maybe she won't want to be with him and maybe she will break up with him.
Well, and
So,
honestly, that might be for the best. I mean, I don't get the vibes that this is a healthy relationship right here.
yeah.
It seems like he kind of steamrolls her.
Yeah, and if I were OP's girlfriend at this point in time, I would have her talk to her sister and explain that that was actually a name, explain the whole situation. And hopefully the sister would be understanding and say, "Oh, I didn't realize that was what was going on here," because and not give him the satisfaction of like winning this because he did this to specifically sabotage OP.
Well, and what's he gonna do if she comes up with another name she likes? Like, it seems like it has to be his way or the highway.
Yeah, it's his list or no names.
And his whole like, well, we agreed to these. Like, people are allowed to change their minds, and it seems like she was just agreeing for because she didn't care.
Yeah. But folks, let's see what the Wheel of Judgment has to say. Wheel of Judgment, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the judgment OP's earned. You're the jerk, and you should apologize to humanity.
I mean, it's a little much, but you should certainly apologize to your girlfriend and her sister.
I don't know if it is too much. Apologize to all of humanity. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
What does a computer do when it's tired?
The computer, when it's tired, it sleeps. I mean, that's actually like a function. You can have a computer sleep, and it can sleep for a cycle.
It crashes.
Oh, it crashes? That too. But it might also just sleep.
Yeah.
And I have Mega Mint. Alright, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy, wonderful Wednesday, Hump Day, Friday, Junior's Eve. Oh my goodness, folks, we're halfway through the week. Can you believe it? And we have a live stream coming up on Friday. We hope to see you then. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please have it haiku.
Partners should value and support their other half, not steamroll and hurt.
I like it. Good job. Good job. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.